Hey, hey,
What up, man? How you doing?
what's happening?
I'm just sitting here in front of my computer.
Yeah, I see my Wi-Fi signal is only 2 bars on there. Oh, there we go. It cycled through. That was weird. Huh?
Yeah, you froze up for just a second there too, but now
Yeah.
you're good.
Oh well, I don't know. What can you do?
Yeah, man.
Well, everybody, Greg will be on shortly, so don't worry about that. He'll be on. So, fourth Kevin, fourth boy on the way. What? Oh my! Wow, Kevin, congrats, man. I just got my last child out of the house, and we're empty nesters, and you're having another one. Wow, crazy.
Yeah, we're empty nesters too. We do have one still in college, but she comes home occasionally. But it's
Yeah,
it's a different world, and in some ways we love it, some ways we miss the kids for sure. But we do have some grandbabies here
yeah.
locally that come and visit quite often, so that's a lot of fun. But
That'll that'll be the next for us.
yeah, yeah,
So
it'll happen.
yeah,
And I see the theme in the background there, and that's what a day.
I know. I looked at the day, and I knew that this stream was going to fall on this day, and I mean, I can remember everything that I did that day,
Yeah,
everything. So such a
me
sad day,
too.
but
Yeah, me too. What a man. Changed the
yeah,
world for sure.
I know. Yeah,
Nothing's been the same since.
yeah, I know. I know. I was sitting at my house. My uncle that just passed away not that long ago. I was waiting for him to come over, and we were going to do some plumbing work. And he called me up saying we're at war, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Flip on the TV," because I was just, I was getting stuff shifted around for when he came over because I had to work at 3 o'clock. And man, I flip on the TV, and I think I had the TV on a couple minutes, and then they showed the second plane hitting, and I was just like, "You
Oh
got to
yeah.
be kidding me!" You know? Yeah, it's just, yeah, I'll never forget that day. You know, crazy. So very, very sad.
Yeah, for sure. I was at work. And I remember I was working up in Ozark, which is about 15, 20 miles north of here. I used to work at an outpatient clinic up there, and a patient came in. It was, I guess, an hour. Was it 9:45 Eastern time when it hit, or something like 9:46? So it would have been 8:46 here. Maybe it was whatever it was. He came in and he said, "Hey, did you hear a plane hit the trade center?" And I was like, thinking a little private plane or something. Had no idea. We were kind of like, "Well, what is it? A private plane or what?" And didn't have a lot of details. And certainly after that, it got crazy in a hurry. And then, of course, I think as the news unfolded, if I remember right now, it's been 23 years, I guess.
Yeah.
But if my memory serves me right, I think that the patient load that day obviously dropped off. People, were not interested in super interested in physical therapy that day. And so all I know is about whatever time it was when the towers came down right before then. Of course, both towers were in flames. And I went over, there was the therapy clinic where I worked was in a little shopping center up there in Ozark. And I went over to get a haircut kind of just across the way there, just to, not far at all, just a few stores down.
Hmm.
And the TV was on. And while I was getting my haircut, the buildings came down. At least the first one did. I think they both came down within a few minutes of each
Yeah.
other. And man, it was just, I think everyone was, I just remember I was in shock. Like it was
Yeah.
just numb. I felt numb, really.
Yeah.
And it was pretty crazy. But man,
Yeah.
what an absolute, I mean, but then again, I've seen a lot of people talking about how can we be like the people were on 9/12 when everybody was united, and
Right.
that was in a sense a silver lining in the whole thing. But man, what an awful day in a difficult situation. I remember even just pumping gas. I just remember the afternoon on the way home, just in total shock. But
Yeah. I
it's my
remember.
son. It's my son's birthday today. He's 30, and then my son-in-law's birthday
uh,
today as well. So I remember all that as well. That he was in first grade, I think, either kindergarten or first grade when that happened. So lot of vivid memories from that day and the time directly immediately after that day. But
yeah.
just need to honor those people
Yeah.
who not only passed away on that day in that tragedy, but also all those after that that have
Right.
died, tried to defend our freedom or whatever, and been sent off and done all the many heroic things that have happened. And so I
Yeah.
hope we can
Yeah.
remember not, we do need to remember it so that we can all be stronger. And I hope that it can stay in the forefront of our memories. So
Right.
stronger nation. Anyway,
Yeah.
I know it's a beekeeping chat, but you
I
just
know.
got to mention it when we do it on that day.
Right. Yeah. I remember the Erie thing too afterwards. Like I worked 3 to 11:30 that day. I was working at a skilled nursing facility, and it was just eerie. I remember going out afterwards, and because they had all the airways shut down, and
Wow.
they had that one jet that had circled around Cleveland and kind of came close to around here. And there were earlier in the day there was some military, but then afterwards, normally you'd go up and you'd see the streaks or whatever, you'd see jets going, but it was just nothing.
Yeah, dead silent. Yep.
It, it
Everything's
was
grounded.
it was just that eerie kind of
Yeah.
just silence.
Like like a dystopian society there for a little while. It was
Yeah,
crazy, but
yeah,
yeah, it was. Now,
yeah.
I honestly thought when that
Strange
happened that
world.
I thought that we were gonna be just like a lot of those Middle Eastern countries where they have all kinds of acts happening constantly after that point. But fortunately, we've been able to avoid that in large part. So anyway,
Wow, Mike.
yeah, Mike
Mike
Berry.
says, I remember deploying after that, and we literally had door gunners while leaving our home port in Norfolk. Wow, that's wild.
Yep.
Yeah, crazy times. Talking about Mike, I saw he did a live just a little bit ago, just giving an update, and I had texted him earlier, just saying to be safe and all that because there's that nasty storm that's, it's probably on the coast right now, and it's going to affect a lot of folks down south. But he was saying like the last time a storm came through, he wasn't able to put a video up. I think it was like 2 months or something like that. So, but he went live just to let everybody know that hey, he's there and he'll do updates and stuff afterwards as he can. But with storms like that come through, it's just you got to wait. So
Yeah, the last one that went through over there, we were deployed. Our church was deployed to go over and help with cleanup. And that's the first time I actually met Mike in person, I believe. It was either the last time or the time before that. But hurricanes come up through the southeast. It's just one of those things that happens, and Louisiana gets hammered. Louisiana gets hammered more than their fair share, it seems like. But hopefully this one's not going to be as bad as some of the ones that have come through there. But maybe it will. I don't know. Two big things with these hurricanes. Number one, of course, is the wind. But sometimes they just kind of come on land and just drop inches and inches and inches of rain, and that can become its own problem for sure with flooding. And
right.
we've experienced both of those situations down here. The wind is devastating as far as the trees and the buildings, but man, that flooding can be super devastating as well. Sometimes you have issues with both, and so it's just one of the difficult things about living here in the South. There's a lot of advantages, but that's one of the difficult things about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, how about we talk about bees?
I think that's a good idea since it is, after all, a beekeeping chat.
Jeez. What's going on down your way?
Well, this past weekend, I haven't really done any video on this. My last video that dropped was I thought I put a lot of work into that video. I hope folks have had a chance to watch it. About it involved, I got overheated working in the heat, but also I revealed the results of the apivar treatments that I did on my bees down there at Apple Farm for the Auburn study.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch the video, I do go do some mite washes during the video, but at the very end, I don't know how many people make it to the end on these videos, but I actually put the stats, all the details of exactly what the counts were before and after, and the overall success rate of the apivar. I will tell you that it was good, although it was not perfect, but you'll have to watch the video if you want to see the actual results. Also, it was kind of a fun video. Kind of told the story of me checking for mites, selling honey to a guy that came down from up North Georgia. I met a guy, Rick, came down from Cummings, Georgia, about four plus hour drive to buy some honey from me, five gallon buckets he bought from me. We talked. We had a great little visit, and then went up to my other bee yards as well. And it's just so cool when you go into colonies that are looking strong, and it was, you
Mhm.
know. But the video actually spans over a couple of different days, a couple of weeks, because the first day I got about I just got overheated, and I had to get in my truck and come home, or I would have been
Yeah.
in trouble. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened there. But I've got another video. I actually just kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I made a big purchase that financially may not have been the best decision, but if you've seen, I've got a couple of wax processing videos out there that have actually got a lot of views, and it's real simple ways to process wax, or different ways you can process wax to get clean wax. Maybe on a smaller scale, it really has worked well for me up until now, honestly, as a beekeeper. But I just got tired of having to heat up the crock pot, and we use a Simple Harmony Farms uncapper before this year, and it doesn't create a lot of cappings. This year we um, we have a Cowan uncapper that makes quite a few cappings, and so I had to figure out what to do with those cappings, and so I purchased a double jacketed 25-gallon wax melter, and I'm still trying to figure it out. There is a learning curve with it, but overall, it's really a neat machine, neat product, and we ended up processing quite a bit of wax. And it takes a while from start to finish to do it, but most of the time it's heating up. It doesn't, when you're actually dealing with the wax, it's not like let's heat up a crock pot, let's filter it. Let's do that over and over and over again. It's,
Yeah.
I think we ended up doing 2 main pours on it to get all that wax done. So basically filled it up twice. And by the
Wow.
time I got through the second time, we ended up with some really pretty wax. It was pretty the first time too, but it didn't work exactly like I thought it would. But anyway, I'm working on that video. I showed everything I did right, everything I did wrong. So it's going to be a super detailed showing my process, as flawed as it was, and kind of at the end, of course, I'll have my opinion on the machine. But I think it's a quality product. About $2,000, I think, is what they cost. Somewhere like $1,900, $2,000 plus shipping. But man, it really, if you got a lot of wax to process, it will be worth it. And it's going to take me probably years to get it paid off, pay back that money to my
Yeah.
business, because I don't have enough wax to make that much money yet. But it'll last forever. It'll last probably the rest of my beekeeping career. And so over time, it just, even if it saves me the time, it was the Thorn 25-gallon, a double jacketed wax melter from Thorn Manufacturing. Quality product. It's awesome, but it's pricey.
I have one of those Lyson solar wax melters,
Mm-hmm.
and like at my scale,
It works well.
I don't have nearly the wax that you do. For my scale, it works perfect. I just, and with the warmer summer that we've had this year, when it's 90 plus, that thing works a charm. You throw it out there, and I mean, literally after a couple hours, I go out and I scrape that slum gum out, throw a little bit more in there, and I bought. I think maybe it was Rodney Middleton told me when I got mine to get extra trays.
Mm-hmm.
So I had got, and I don't know. I think I maybe picked them up from Home Depot, but just got the extra like paint trays.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've got 3 or 4. So I just load that bugger up and just kept it going. And this is the first year that literally all my wax is already processed.
Yeah, it works. That's what I used last couple of years. Before that, I used crock pots. The thing I do like about the solar wax melter is you just throw it in there and you let the sun do the work. The thing I don't like about it is it does have some honey and it's not perfectly clean, and there is a little bit of a process after that. But it works well, and honestly, that's what I used last couple of years. But
yeah,
the other thing is too, I like these new toys. I like to try these new products that people are using out there, and it makes it so much better. But I'm going to tell you, when you watch the video, just understand I did some boneheaded things in the video. I tried some things that I thought might work, and maybe they didn't work as well as I thought they would. And so if you say, Bruce, you're just so dumb, but understand, I'll walk you through why I tried everything. But in the long run, I ended up with probably 90 to 190, probably 90, give or take 85 to 90 pounds of just beautiful, clean. I mean, it's
Wow,
absolutely clean, big, like 4 to 6 pound blocks of wax, something like that. And it's just,
that's a lot.
I love it. It's just absolutely just, I love a beautiful block of beeswax. Now I got to figure out what to do with it. I may try and make some candles. I do have a few people that buy it from me here and there. And so, anyway, it's cool. It's fun, but that's kind of my next video that'll be coming out. As far as the bees go, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but as far as the bees go, I did not do a video on this yet. I just went ahead. I had some bees down there at Applin. If you saw the video of me working in the heat, you could see that first of all, those bees were in great need of food, and they're in the process of getting fed right now. I also I ordered 28 queens, and I replaced some weak ones. I'd made a few splits. I just didn't do a video on that because first of all, I really just didn't have the time or really want to. I just was kind of worn out and had to get it done. But so far this past Saturday, whatever day it was, I went out there, and the queens they're looking good. They're released. They're starting to lay, and this week I'll probably end up putting them in single boxes. They're in small nukes right now. Put them in single boxes and just feed, and see how it turns out going into spring. But that's kind of what I've been up to. And of course, the treatments. I got the treatments off and of all the colonies, and just been playing around, and it's been busy. But I'm actually honestly I'm a little burned out. I think a lot of people are this time of year. I'm actually very burnt out on both the bees and the YouTube, but I got to keep plugging, and that's kind of in a supposedly a 2-minute synopsis, more like a 8-minute synopsis of what I've been doing, or synopsis of what I've been doing. But that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, what's up, Greg?
Mr.
Hey,
Burns.
Sorry I'm late.
Oh, it's all right.
That's okay.
It's all right.
Brian and I have a hard time talking, so
Right.
it's been kind of a lot of moments of silence. There's been like long stretches of silence trying to figure out what to say.
We sat in silence for 3 or 4 minutes before we even knew what to say to each other. So,
Wow. I'm proud of you guys.
yeah. But here, I went over, let me see, Sunday and checked on the colonies, and I've got 2 colonies that have supers on them. I'm only trying to pull enough fall honey that the wife and I have, a little bit of a supply. That's like our preferred honey. So that's why I only have a couple supers out. But other than that, like all of the other colonies are doing good. There's a heck of a lot of brood in them for this time of year. So I'm happy with that. So I'll be able to probably have a little bit of wiggle room as far as just equalizing throughout the yard. And that'll be good. I think from, what was it, in like late July, well, probably 3rd, 4th week of July, when I added on some buckets and I started throwing pollen at them. They've gotten the DFM for 3 months now. I think everything that I've done there has kind of got them cleaned up and looking good. So I'm content where they're at. I do have 2 colonies that were going through the motions of replacing the queens, and one of them was my fault. I squished the head on that one. But I do have that resource hive with a queen on each side. So I've got 2 queens sitting there that are laying up and doing good. I was going to go over the other day, and I had it in my head, well, let me just combine. Let me just take care of it right now. It was September, what was it, like the 8th, or I don't know, whatever the heck Sunday was, 9th. And I pulled out my phone and I looked at the next 2-week forecast, and it's in the 80s every day for 2 weeks. And I thought, colonies are big enough. They've got population. So I'm running a little gamble, and I'm letting them cycle through about another week or so. And if I don't see brood, then I'll combine at that point. So, but our weather is so darn just it's screwy this year up here in that, for September 11th, and we've got, I think today it was 83 up here. It's just unheard of, and then even like on my birthday next week, it's supposed to be above 80. So, but
Guys,
things are looking good from where they're sitting at. Things are looking good here. So, cross my fingers.
Any rain up there yet?
We had rain Friday night and Saturday. Of course, it was while I had to go and do the market. It rained in the morning. Not anything of significance. It didn't soak anything. We're actually, that drought monitor that Greg showed last week, his area, that dark reddish is actually larger. And in my area, like we were in the white and there was just a little hint of yellow, like that little oval circle up there. Now it's almost all of Northeast Ohio is all yellow also and creeping into the next level. So Ohio is, it's pretty darn dry. And I think the forecast up here, at least, the next forecasted precipitation is like September 23rd.
Wow. Yeah, I got Friday night. I sat through a football game in the rain, a high school football game in the rain up in Montgomery, and it rained down here too. And then today it's rained all day. I imagine it's the eastern side of that storm that's going up through Mike. Right. I imagine that's kind of, but we've been just having, it's just been a nice steady rain, just like so we've actually finally we're having a little relief down here.
Yeah, I would love that. So,
Greg,
Mr. Burns, what's happening at the Nature's Image Farm?
I don't even know where to begin. This whole time you guys have been talking, and I totally was. I'm not sure where I was. I can just say right now it's we got 3/4 of an inch of rain, and that was such an enormous blessing. The next day, we started smelling a little goldenrod in the colonies, and the goldenrod was on its way browning out, and that rain that we got perked a lot of it back up, and it looks like the third variety is starting to actually bloom. And so as that third variety blooms, that's when I'm starting to smell the butterscotch. So we may get a little goldenrod still, but
wow.
What we're doing is just hot and heavy feeding. It doesn't matter if goldenrod's coming or not.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the in-frame feeders. Everyone got feed. We're filling bucket feeders, putting bucket feeders on top of everybody, and just making sure that they have got, that's going to give them 20 pounds of feed to do something with. So we're just that's what we're up to right now. We've got some colonies that we've got. I got a annoying fly in here today that won't leave me alone. Still hot and heavy on splits. We've got some colonies that are they're bigger than what I like. They're in double deeps that are boiling over, and I'm like, well, I could put a medium on you, but I don't like 2.5s. So we've got double screen boards in between a lot of those double deeps, and we'll come back this week and check to see who has cells, smush the cells, and we'll go through and get all of our mating nukes cleaned up and get mated queens on those colonies, and we'll go into the colonies, or we'll go into the winter with some extra numbers. That's really on the bee side. What we've been doing was able to put out a fun video on Sunday, kind of just showing just a little, it's kind of like, I don't know exactly what you call it, but you just, sometimes the good Lord just gives you an idea and you just run with it and everything just falls right into place. Wasn't even really trying to put a video together. But then there was all these little things that I just little snippets of what we were up to, and just put all of those together. And I really liked it. It turned out neat. It was a lot of fun to put together, but it was kind of a nice little conclusion for the monster. And then you caught me playing got me playing the guitar there. It was fun. I'm in a good place mentally with where we're at with the bees right now, and we're digging into a lot of other projects too, which is why I'm so out of sorts today. Is we're about literally 12 hours in of ditch witching all day. We've got about 500 feet of a 3-foot water line that we're putting in a bunch of different places here.
Oh,
And so by the time it's a beautiful day. It was, this morning was 52 degrees when we got going before the sun came up, and the ground was soaking wet with dew, and it was just beautiful. The sun comes up and it's just gorgeous. As you look, a lot of you have been out here, but when you get out to a couple of the spots out here and you look across the ridge, you can see for probably 7 miles, 10 miles, and you can see all of the ridges that they look blue every morning. And as the fog is setting in and the sun is coming up, it is just absolutely gorgeous. So that's what we've been we're getting water lines in. I'm trying to get all that taken care of now before we get into the late fall, early winter stuff, which is just semi-loads of wax dipping and getting stuff ready for the Bee Expo, getting stuff ready for spring sales, and then just a lot of stuff that gets to be a really busy time. So trying to take advantage of the beautiful dry weather, if you could say that, and put water lines in. Typically, whenever we turn over ground and do any kind of groundworks here, it rains that day, next day, even if it's not even supposed to. It's just the way it goes. But I'm not sure what I was trying to say there, guys. Oh, the one thing that I wanted to say, I just realized that with the Monster Hive round of grafts, we made it over 2,000 grafts this year on these queen lines. And that was a big deal for us. That is a nice pile of work for sure, and it's really rewarding when you see so many folks. I want to thank everybody for a lot of folks have heard that we have kind of changed our program as far as how we will be taking queen customers next year. And as we've mentioned in the past, that if folks want to the only way to get on our queen list for next year, as of right now, is to go to our website, hit that contact us, and send us a message and ask to be put on the queen list. We're going to do things a lot different. There aren't going to be a lot of queens available on the website next year. It's going to be a private list only, and we're blessed with that much demand. So again, just a little reminder, folks, if you're interested in getting on the queen list for next year, just go to our website, naturesimagefarm.com, hit that contact us, shoot us a message, and we'll keep you in the loop when we start coming into early spring.
I got to send a text here real quick to Greg Burns and let him know that I want to get on the queen list. Hang on one second.
Well, you will get grandfathered in. Folks who ordered this year and ordered last year, you were automatically grandfathered into that list. So anyways, it's pretty a lot of fun. Watching these virgins hatch off of this monster queen line, it is just so beautiful. They're so I can't believe this, but as far as their color and character, they are extremely uniform. Off this specific line, they are. It's like every single one of them is a root beer tiger stripe or tiger stripe. Nearly every single one, just one after the other. So when I'm getting a little excited, trying to hold myself back. There's a lot that goes into queen attributes and characteristics.
Yeah.
But when you start to see, what I have seen is sometimes you'll see when you start to see color characteristics, when you have these batches where it is just rapid fire one after the other. What I'm hoping is that some of the other characteristics and attributes may also be equally consistent. Now that's still a long shot, but if that's the case, boy, I'm really excited to really double down, triple down, quadruple down on this particular queen's genetics for next year. So that'll be a part of next year's breeding program.
When you graft, now I know when you're dealing with genetics, there's so many different factors there. But when you typically graft, do you what type of variance will you see color range when those virgins emerge out? Is there like a huge difference? Like, do you see some that look more like an Italian, and then do you see like that, like a wide color variance?
Yeah,
Normal?
I think there are you can certainly try to fix certain traits in through open mating, but eventually you get to a point to where you can only go so far with that, and then those attributes kind of fall off, where your percentage of a certain characteristic being consistent, may start to fall off. One of the things that we've seen, which is unreal to me, is, I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, but you have to have a certain subset, genetically speaking, a paternal opportunity in your drone yards for this to even kind of come up. But what's interesting is when you see, like, if we graft off of jet black queens. Now, I don't just mean like they're dark. I mean, they are so black that their stripes are almost a grayish blue, more on the gray segments, like black, like just straight up Caucasian black. What's interesting is on a round of grass, typically we'll do at a minimum four starters of 45. So that's, what is that? 45. It's when you get to be about 180 or so at a time, we'll see 30-40% might be jet black. The large subset of those will be root beer tiger stripes, and then some of those will be not Italian light, but what I call leather or a red queen, where they're like the old school Italian, where they're more of a leathery, warm, reddish, not blonde, like straight up yellow or light, and then there'll be that leather color all the way down, maybe a little black, little black tip on the end. But when you look at the leather, the color will have. Do you guys know what the word mottled means? Like when we talk about colors and texture. Okay, so they'll have like this leathery mottled kind of look, and when you look in with a macro lens or just a close up, there's this beautiful swirl, almost like just. It's not just straight color. It's got this thing going on. So to me, that is really neat. Very rarely have we ever. I can't say. Well, I don't have any light queens that I graft off of, so I don't know how that would work. If we graft light queens, what do those colors tend to throw? What I do know is when we keep grafting off the dark ones, what we see that in the brood too. The brood are so what we call salt and pepper. There'll be some that will be light, some will be dark, but they usually lean more on that darker side. And you see it, really see it with the drone stock, with the drones, the coloration of the drones in there, where a lot of times they are blackout black, where the abdomen and the thorax are just jet black. It's really neat to see. It's just black. It's black on black. Sometimes the drones will be a little lighter on the thorax, black on the abdomen with rusty golden segments across. But sometimes we'll see the head, the eyes, the thorax, the abdomen, the legs, everything is just jet black. When you first see it, you're like, whoa! They're so black they stick out.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Anyways, I'm not sure where I was going with that. I love color and texture and seeing some of these variants and variables and things like that. And when you start to see these things really start to be fixed into your genetic type, it's pretty cool. There is some things we'll talk about, I'm sure, maybe later on tonight, although I'm already 40 minutes late. But maybe we'll get into late summer, early fall treatments and how that's going for us, because we just went through a bunch of colonies after putting Formic on. And so I want to talk to you guys about that too.
Awesomeness. Well, sounds like everybody's busy.
Yeah, you might say.
Is it ever going? I don't think it's ever going to end. It's just
I know.
It's just one busy season into the next. There is no, when we were first getting into homesteading and things, I don't think I ever like romanticized about the winter doldrums or the winter rest that we want to imagine farmers get. I think you imagine, sitting in a chair next to a wood fire, getting caught up on some reading, or, working, spending some time working in the wood shop, building something for fun, or doing things like that. We're not in a stage with business growth and family growth where there is literally any time. The only time I get to sit down and do anything is typically when I get up early in the morning before everybody else. And that's, time for me to usually crack open the Bible, do some reading, drink my coffee. Shout out to Troy at T&T Roasters. I ran out of that coffee finally. And so today I didn't have any hot coffee. I hate to even admit this, guys. I had to go down the road.
Oh, I knew where you went.
McDonald's, and I got a black iced coffee, and I'm just not the same. Anyways,
that'll ruin the whole day when you start out like that.
Well, it's caffeine at least.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, how are you gonna get these queens made? Are you gonna artificially inseminate them, or are you gonna be doing just natural mating or open mating?
We're gonna do both. It's late here in the season, for sure, but we still have some very big colonies to go through. Those are the ones that hold on to the drones the longest, it seems. Anything that was in a 10 frame single or less, it's this. I've got about a 6-minute thought process here about where we're at in the season, but I'll save that for a little bit later, because we actually hinted at this and said that this is probably going to happen at the very beginning of the season, and here we are. But
do you still have now? When I was in mine Sunday, I saw drone brood.
Yeah.
So and as far as the amount, it wasn't like it was, say, 20 cells. I mean, I'm talking like, now this was in my larger ones. So if you're looking at like facing my rows, my larger ones are on the left-hand side. I mean, they had like decent circles, and on the bottom it was just loaded up. And I looked at them, and when I saw that, that's kind of what shifted my thought from combining over, because I thought, man, and I was seeing drones through the colonies too. I just thought, if they're still pumping out drones, they know, so the bees know. So if I saw absolutely no drone brood whatsoever, and our weather in the next 2 weeks, if we were going to have 40-degree temps and things like that, and highs in the 60s, I probably would have just combined. But when we've got 80s for the next 2 weeks and there's drone brood all over the place, it's like, I might as well roll the dice on 2 colonies. It's not a huge deal.
That's a good point. So I'm going to bring up my weather and take a look here. Let's do hope well.
But
Greg, can you store that the drone, the sperm from the drone? Can you store that and use it throughout the year, or do you have to?
Okay, yeah, we've got about a 3-week lifespan on that. So, like, what the simple plan? None of this is simple. What the idea would be is to just spend a day collecting drones, and then collecting semen from the drones. And then we've got a 3-week timeline of when we really need to make that happen.
Can you liquid nitrogen that stuff?
I mean, I can't. Yeah, there are universities maybe that can. What they find is about a 50%. My brain's fried. I can't even think of the words. 50% success rate, efficacy. It wouldn't be efficacy. Vitality. About 50%. 50% of the sperm will live. Obviously, the other 50% dies. So then you're inseminating.
Potentially affecting the queen.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's going to reduce her chance. Yeah, what a lot of folks I think misunderstand inseminated queens is inseminated queens. While there are a lot of folks out there who say they're just like a production queen, and that, I mean, maybe, but the goal of a inseminated queen is not to replace a $40 production queen. Yeah, what the goal of an inseminated queen is to double down on genetics for saturation for your breeding program. Is to try to set and bring to the table a genetic offering that otherwise wouldn't exist. So we can look at, if we look at the thousands and thousands and thousands of drones that'll be flying overhead here in the afternoons, we look at all those genetic variables and all those subsets, all those alleles, all those combinations, and then recombinations of all of these different genetic opportunities. It's like taking a Rubik's cube and saying, okay, I'm gonna try to quickly make all this the same color. And what you end up with is all these different variables. What's interesting with insemination is you can look at specific performers, metrics that the breeder chooses. It could be a hygienic nature. It could be a prolificness. It could be just very rugged. They always just seem to make it. It could be gentleness. It could be how much honey that they make. It could be how white their wax is. It could be all these different things that we're working on to develop what we had talked about with Randy Oliver, which is that locality adapted bee, where these bees are adapted to our locality because we are bringing specific genetics to play for our area, for our goals. And I do think that that's important. And when you hear local adapted queens, I mean, the first thing you think is, wow, are you telling me that Greg's queens are adapted to the zip code of 43746? I mean, what does that mean? There's not hardly any beekeepers really in this zip. We have Steve and Jane down the road and a couple other folks. But it's the beekeeper in this region. What are their goals? What are they doing? Weather plays into this. Forage or forage scarcity. All these things play into that. And that's why it's so important for us to continue to do that work, to constantly be pushing this thing forward. And what we see is the evidence of that every single year. The bees are just getting better and better and better. And sometimes you hit a little bit of a brick wall where it's like, man, I can't seem to get them over this hump, or I can't seem to get them to where I know I want to take this. Or you see a handful do this thing, but you can't get that to set into your genetic line. That's where insemination comes in. But the goal is to just get that genetic diversity into those colonies, to start making dollars, start making drones, start flooding the area that way with very specific characteristics.
Nice. I need to when you have that machine cranked up.
Oh yeah.
I gotta watch one time just to, I almost one of the Ohio conferences. Isn't it in October?
I'm not sure. I didn't think Ohio had any more conferences this year.
There's something. It's over on the western side of the state.
Okay.
Randy, Dirt Rooster's going to be up. But like
Randy's coming to Ohio?
Randy is going to be in Ohio. Yes.
Huh.
That's probably.
Well, Randy, I thought we were friends. He didn't even call to say, "Hey, I'm going to be in Ohio."
Well, he didn't. Yeah. Right, the October 24th, 5th, and 6th. There you go. Thank you, Mark. But so Dirt Rooster being up here, that kind of was like, oh, cool. Maybe I could cruise over for like a day. I looked it up and it's like a 3.5-hour drive for me. So, but I was thinking, well, maybe drive over. But then the other thing that had me interested was they're having like these workshops, and it's very small size where you can go through. They have like a professor or somebody that's there, and you go through and with a microscope, like a dissected queen, a worker, and a drone. And I thought that would be cool to see, just to kind of get into the nitty gritty and really look at the biology.
Yeah, they what you think you see with these critters, when you put them under a microscope, like this unit behind me here, this is an Apis engineering queen station, and what's neat is everything is built into it. The CO2 unit, the microscope, everything that you need to do that job. But what's cool about it is on the very top here, there's a camera, and that camera can go to a laptop, go to a big screen. So you're not going to be able, you can't come here and watch me do this and like actually see anything unless you can then take that camera to a screen. And then what you see is unbelievable. To be able to see a queen that close up, there are little things that you hear about, it's part of their biology, but you don't really appreciate. Like when you are putting these virgins into their tube, when you're looking at them, you see things like their little toes. And when you see their little toes, you can see their tarsal glands, their tarsal pads. And you know right away, like if you see, that's weird, my camera's a Bruce thing. Is it? If I go like this, does my camera go up?
I don't know.
Like a little roller coaster. That's weird. This? No, this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I don't know.
I just had a thought. I have a 12-foot movie, like a screen that we put out in the yard with a projector and watch movies.
Mm-hmm.
I could bring the projector down, hook that bad boy up, and I could just sit back like this, sipping on a coffee, and I would have like this 12-foot image of whatever you're doing.
There you go. It's really cool. It's so spooky sci-fi. I mean, when you see the stuff that close, it's hard to describe this, and it sounds weird and creepy. But when you're entering the queen, just to be able to see that her kind of open up and you enter, and just to see the biology and the layers, like what the abdomen actually looks like, it is really cool. It's
and here when we were talking to Randy, we were talking about these Franken queens and stuff, and then listen to what you're doing. We're telling Bruce not to develop these Franken queens, but look at what you're doing.
Right. Making my own Franken queens. That's right. Yep.
Now I'll be curious to see what Bruce does next year.
We'll see if any of them survive winter first, and then we'll see what happens.
Oh, jeez. You would have.
I have a feeling they will. I have a feeling I'm going to have quite a few coming out of winter.
Yeah, you won't have a problem. It's me up here. All I do is kill them.
You guys feel like you're in a pretty good spot right now?
I think so.
Yeah.
I have some spots that I would like to be in a little better shape, and some that are in really good shape, but you just never know. It can change on a dime. But
yeah,
I try all these things, and every year I end up with a bunch of pretty good bees overall that produce and do what they need to do for me. So, I talk about and the bees are just out there doing their thing, to be honest, and they get it done.
Yeah.
And, so
I see you got a delivery too.
Yeah, tell Greg, you did tell us about that stuff. I've got my box. I haven't opened it yet, but tell me kind of what that is and how it works. Brian's holding it. For those who may not be watching, if you're just listening, he's holding it looks like a plastic bag full of liquids. So tell kind of what it is, how they designed it, why.
Brian, you go first. You tell us what you know about it, and then I'll fill in any gaps if there are any.
Well,
I really don't know that much about it, to be honest.
So I know very little about this other than it has the correct ratio of the Hive Alive liquid in it. As far as the exact components of this, I am not exactly sure. The only thing as far as what I've done with it is I researched the application, how to use it, and they do have, I like how this bag sits because it does have there's a thicker plastic underside, and then the top that's kind of ballooned up that you can see it is where you pierce, and then you put this, on top of the frame. So, but the exact, I only glanced just briefly at the sheet that you get with it. I'm sure Dara went into the specifics with you when you were able to talk to him. So, Mr. Burns, what do you know about it?
I haven't even opened my box yet, so I really don't know exactly what the advantage of it is, except application might be easier.
And that's what I was looking for right there, is the ease. Now with the buckets, that makes it easy anyways, but I just figured for me, if there's shims on and I can just crack a lid, and I probably would set 2 of these on a colony and then doot, 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 and move on. It's almost like I'm starting to work like I'm at Greg's place. Pop a lid, drop, drop, puncture, 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 move on to the next one. So, but
Greg,
yeah.
enlighten us, Greg.
Well, I had a great conversation with Dara Scott at Hive Alive, and we went into a lot of detail on a lot of these products and kind of features and benefits. This is a brand new product. It's called Super Syrup, and it's really designed to quickly put a couple pounds of liquid feed on a colony. As far as who is it for, where is it most appropriate, where does it maybe not fit into somebody's management? I think you just have to look at what it is. It's 2 pounds of feed in a plastic bag, and the idea is that goes over top of your frames, and you make a couple slits like with a box knife, and you have to have a shim on top for the bees to get to that because of the thickness of it. And so in my mind, you'd really be putting on at least 2 of those, I would imagine.
Yeah.
To put at least 4 pounds on there. For us, I'm not stepping out of bounds to say this, but there are a lot of types of feeders and ways to put feed on colonies. So I guess right now I'll be interested in seeing, where do I find that this would be helpful and beneficial? I can say for, the sideliner commercial application, I don't know that it makes a lot of sense there. I think for a hobbyist, someone who's got a couple hives and they're really worried about their bees starving, I think you could put a couple of those on. You're looking at 4 pounds of feed, a 1 gallon bucket with Pro Sweet in it with Hive Alive that we mix up here at Nature's Image. You're going to be a full 1 gallon is 11.55 pounds per gallon. That's about a 3-to-1. What is in that super syrup seems to be a little thinner than that. At 2 pounds, we'd have to really see what the volume is on that, kind of see where that falls into place. I could see if you had like a 5-frame nuke maybe you don't want to put a bucket on, you can't really fit any other type of feeder on, you don't want to waste the space with a frame feeder on. I think for spring buildup, for nukes, I think that could be a really neat product. I think for little mating nukes, that might be a nice little product to be able just to throw a smaller amount of feed on to carry them over. If you look at what is there and how the bees would convert that, a 2 pound bag of feed, I would say that's just the way that how that liquid moves in that bag. I would say that's probably somewhere like a 1.7 to a 2-to-1. I would say. I don't think it's any thicker than a 2-to-1, but I would say if you're what is the volume on that? It looks like it's maybe a pint. It's not quite a quart, I don't think. Maybe 3/4 of a quart.
No, it's not. And you know what? I'm actually watching air bubbles in it, and you probably can't see them, but when I shake it, it does seem like it is probably like a 2-to-1.
Yeah.
So it is a hair thicker.
Yeah.
Volume, I would almost think that it's probably a little bit more than a pint, I would think.
What do I have here?
DC, they're 2 pounds. So, but
So how is the pricing on this stuff? Is it cost effective, or is it? I mean, just a mix. I mean,
yeah.
I can understand it for convenience, but what is, I'm not trying to be negative or positive. I'm just, point blank what kind of trying to figure out what.
I'm not sure this would be something that you're going to exclusively use to feed your bees. I think the niche opportunity would be for 5-frame nukes, or if you just need to put. Bruce, I think it's going to take some time to figure that out. When I look at the other products, it's very clear where those products, how they can fill a need and how they can fill a niche. With this particular product, what some of the benefits would be, it's got Hive Alive pre-mixed in it. That's handy. It's 2 pounds of feed, so it's like less than one medium frame. If that medium frame was honey, if that's a 2-to-1, it's probably going to take them 2.5 of those, maybe a little more, to convert that to be something thick enough to actually store. It's not going to go bad with that. It's got, the Hive Alive is going to be a feed extender in it. So I think that's going to be handy. I think for me, with with my, you guys know my experience with bees, what it is that we do with our bees. I think that would be something that would be helpful for nukes, smaller colonies. You'd have to put a shim on it, is the only thing, or an extra box. I don't know that makes a lot of sense. A shim, I guess, a lot of folks have those, use those. If you get late fall right now and you've got the goldenrod flirting with, is it gonna hit? Is it not going to hit? What I can say is, and we see this firsthand right now, if you make sure you have feed on your colonies right now, what we are seeing is folks are going to think we're crazy. But our bees right now are drawing comb like none other right now. They are going to town drawing comb. And you say, oh, that's impossible. It's fall time. Bees don't do that. Well, guess what they all have in their feeders right now? They have ProSweet with Hive Alive in it. So they have a 3-to-1, which everyone says, you need to have a thin syrup for them to draw comb. Hey, don't tell my bees that, because I would really prefer it if they keep performing without me having to thin my feed down. Yeah. So bees are drawing comb right now because they have feed. That also plays into a little bit more of our management and kind of where they're at too, because a lot of colonies are coming right off a Formic Pro treatment that was about 24 days ago. And so after that, they get to that 14-day stretch, they start to ramp it up big time. And so now all the bees kind of get this reset, and now they are just going gangbusters with brood and drawing comb. So what was that? How many gallons, Garrison apiaries? My girls have gone through 8 gallons of 2-to-1 in the last 4 days. They are really sucking it down. This is the time of year where don't bank on goldenrod, put feed on. So Bruce, I don't know that I've got a really solid answer for that. I think for folks, if they want to put a little feed on, and just see if the bees are taking it, I think it would be a neat product. I have never used the Ziploc baggie method to feed bees, so it's totally out of my element. We go towards frame feeders and bucket feeders, because if I'm putting feed on, the reason why our bucket feeders that we build here are so popular is because you can put a gallon of feed on and you're done, and you can do it from the top. So I know these will have a niche, and I know that they will certainly fill a need that beekeepers will have. I think if anything, it's a quick convenience. You can quickly throw 2 pounds of feed right on top without disturbing the nest. So where that would be handy would be late in the season, when you get late fall on those cool, those days that are like borderline on putting feed on. That might be helpful, because 2 pounds of feed, I mean, that's a colony will take 2 pounds of feed down in an afternoon easily with probably no problem. So it would be like, it would kind of remind me of back in the day when we would use quart jars. I think that if you get in the mindset of, well, when would I put a quart jar of feed on a colony? I think that's where this particular feeding product would probably fall in line, would be, just need to put a quart on, or I'm refilling that quart, maybe somewhere in there. What do you think?
I'm thinking, new splits into nukes would be great. Like you have a new split that, if you're going to introduce a queen or a cell, just slap it on there. It'd be so easy just to, if you got like my nuke, a lot of my nukes have the the bottom and tops that are interchangeable, so that it's got a space, almost like a shim on top, where you could just lay that thing across there, depending on how wide it is, and just set it in there, and it would, kind of like these splits I made a few weeks back. I've got frame feeders in there with 3 frames of bees, and they're strong. I'm about to put them in 10 frame boxes, but if I could have just used 5 frames and then put one of these bags, just put some of these bags on there, that might have been a good option as well, instead of having giving the bees a little more space. But you got to watch them close when you do what I did. But yeah, I definitely can see. I think it may be more beneficial for smaller, maybe starter type colonies, 2, 3, 5, 3, 4, 5 frame splits or nukes and things like that. But I'm sure people are gonna. I'm sure the feedback. I'm sure that the Hive Alive has. I'm sure they probably have a kind of a framework for when it works best, and I'm sure there are beekeepers using it to their advantage. But it just seems to me, I don't know what the price point is on it, but 50. It seems like $50 for what?
$50 for a box, and that
how 9.
How many are in there? 9.
Yeah, 9.
18. Yeah.
So that's a little over $5 a bag. So you're paying for that convenience.
You're at $2.77.
You're paying for the convenience of being able to walk out.
Let me check my box here. It should have let's see if it has any more info.
Yeah. Now on the website, it has the composition and analytical components. For the ingredients, it says it's got inverted sugar syrup, fructose, and then Hive Alive, and then it breaks it down. It has 40% fructose, 30% dextrose, and then 30% saccharose, and those are plus or minus 2%. So, you're, I don't know. I mean, you could go 42 and then 29.29 or whatever, but that's what it says on the website as far as the ingredients.
Well, Greg, I'm sure when you talk to Dar, I'm sure if you did a video on that, I'm sure he'll probably explain more about it as well. I know some new product they're introducing.
I think for when you're getting into larger scale, when you're getting into like Bruce, your scale, with 100 plus colonies, I don't think. I think cost wise, this would just be too much.
Quite a bit, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, would.
Well, I can mix up sugar water and put it in frame feeders or bucket feeders or quart jars for that matter.
Yeah.
And it would be a lot less expensive. And I just put the Hive Alive supplement in there.
For a hobbyist, somebody that's got a handful of colonies, this I think for the ease of it,
it could be really beneficial.
I mean, you walk out, you slap 2 of them on. If you're doing fall feeding like right now, you can put a shim on that you can then leave that shim on there and then throw your fondant on as well. So, tossing a shim on later in the year to utilize this product.
Brian, is there a way? Do you have a flat surface you could lay it on to see how thick it is top to bottom? The shim they sent me was like an inch or 3/4 of an inch to an inch. I think it looked like. I didn't pull it out. I didn't really look at it that closely, but does it need to be that thick, or can it just be your typical half inch?
No, it won't go. It's not going to fit with your
typical
the feeding lids that we sell and use.
Patty rims. It won't work for that.
I'll show you. Let's see if I can. You guys are going to see my messy desk. Let's see if I can.
No, I've got my digital caliper here, so I'll get into the specifics here.
Let's see. Go this way.
Let's see here. So you are looking at, now this could be plus or minus, you were looking at 14.5 millimeters. So, just a little over half an inch.
You need an inch. Yeah, you're going to need an 1.5 inch shim for this.
Yeah.
So that's creates another.
Well, they sent a shim with it, so I'll just.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it. I mean, I think it's okay to try. I think it has its purpose, but I mean, I didn't know. I know we didn't plan on talking all night about the Hive
What's going
Alive
on here? You guys are
product.
looking at my.
Oh, you moved the camera, moved down.
There it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
So for reference, this is the. What am I doing here, guys? I swear I've done this before. There we go. All right. So, by the way, this is a sad story. I'm not going to show you the label because I'm not about slamming a poor product necessarily. I bought a jar of pickles today. I went and got some thick sliced garlic bologna, horseradish cheese, and made lunch out here on the Blackstone for us and the guys. And I bought a quart of pickles. Right. Matter of fact, well, I'll do that off camera. I am really, really struggling tonight to keep it together, and so pickle juice, for whatever reason, kind of kicks you into gear. So that's a quart jar. Is that a quart? That is 32 ounces.
Yeah, that's probably.
And
I mean,
this is just a little less than that.
Yeah. Huh.
So, this look. Not to change the subject, but to change the subject. Have you ever seen? I'm not going to show you the name. If this grosses you out, like if anyone has any food sensitivity issues, like watching people eat, then pay close attention because you're going to hate this. But like, especially like, do you hate it when someone sticks their, like they get done like digging dirt and doing bee stuff and they're covered in all kind of nasty? Don't you hate it when someone just reaches right into the pickle jar and just does this? Like no one's going to eat out of this pickle jar again. But look at these weird. It's like they put all the seconds, like all the.
Do they taste the same?
The pickles are soggy, like they're not even good.
Oh,
It's just
they're
straight
old.
vinegar, and like okay, here's the first.
They're
pickle.
old. Those are old.
And it's not even a good. I mean, it's not even a good size one, but it's nothing but.
Yeah. They're
bits and
old.
pieces, anyways. Sorry to eat in front of you guys. It's really going downhill in a hurry, especially if I'm drinking the juice out of the
Pickle juice.
the jar there.
So
Bruce,
guys-
you started it. You asked about the product. So
What did
that-
you learn watching the stream team? Well, I learned that Greg drinks pickle juice.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what, Mark Bassinger said to be whenever if I get cramps or I'm not feeling right,
Yeah.
whatever using pickle juice helps.
Yeah.
So
Well, our high school football team, they have pickle juice and mustard on the sideline. So if they get cramps, they just eat that stuff. Yep.
question: if you drink pickle juice on camera, is it pinkies up or is it pinkies down?
About pinky somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Genetically modified right there, Illuminati. Genetically modified pickles. That's what you have right there.
Whew.
You'll probably be awake all night now.
Yeah. See what you get?
Well, that woke me up. Does
You could drink some Hive Alive supplement straight out of the jar. That'll wake you up.
it taste like dirty fingers? There's so much vinegar in there.
You know
Well, you're
what?
not going to look in the. Oh, I'm not going to show you the label.
This is going to go straight south in a second, but almost what I would want Greg to do is he should
Just cut a corner.
in
Yeah, cut a
this
corner.
and compare tastes, and if he would put this with the pickles, would that preserve the pickles?
You guys.
I'm going to get a call from Dara, and they're going to pull our U.S. distribution rights. Let's see. Now, here's the thing. I know what Hive Alive tastes like
Yeah,
when you mix it properly with totes
not
and
bad.
totes and totes of Pro Sweet.
It's not bad if it's mixed with stuff.
Okay, ready? I don't know how do you even drink this out of here? Should I even be doing this on camera? This is probably not smart.
Did you do it on a corner? Did you just take a corner off? Yeah.
Yeah, but now the corner is so big, like I could stick. So let's just do. This is like a wine tasting. I've got nothing here, guys. What's this?
Just pour it up and chug.
I've got a coffee mug here, StreamTeam, but it's got like I'm saving. Look at all the junk in there. It's like I'm saving.
That looks like slum.
Whoops.
Looks like slum from Wax.
Oh my!
Hey, let me dump that out. Boy,
This
it's the end
chat
of the
went,
year, guys. This show is
chat
really
went
going downhill.
downhill real quick.
Does anyone have? Let me just say, I love my wife to death, literally. But do you ever have any like your coffee cups, guys? It is like an unwritten rule. Like coffee cups are never to be washed. They're never to be rinsed. Your travel mugs, all that stuff. Like it's like a cast iron pan. You're building up seasoning, right? Right?
Sure. Sure.
All right. So let me ask you this. Too much?
Ugh.
Probably too much. All right.
Mike Berry saying, if ingested, seek medical attention.
Is that what it says?
I don't
do
see
this.
anywhere on the website where it says
I shouldn't
that.
even be doing this.
It does say no drowning, so Greg, you're not going to drown.
I'm looking at consistency, thickness. Is the first thing I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. It definitely seems to be a little thinner than ProSuite.
Huh.
Now what's the guy gonna do with this bag? I'm gonna have to hold this bag all night because it's gonna flap over.
I have to go stick it in a beehive somewhere real quick.
This was bad. This is just all the way.
You could put it in a bucket.
Have you ever done a wine tasting? I haven't, but you see them like they smell it.
Yeah.
Has hints of charcoal and
It
Coffee.
does sit upright
fingernail
too.
propolis.
So you can set it upright.
There we go.
Wow.
Actually, it's way thicker than it actually is very thick. Ooh.
He kind of likes it.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going in for seconds, the actions.
An insulin shot. It's actually thick. It's actually it in my mouth is thicker than what it looks like in the bag.
The actions, views, and opinions of the stream team are not necessarily.
Yeah. So don't drink that, guys. Don't drink that. Don't drink this. But if you were to drink it, you would probably find
Yeah, Tom. Now Greg's gonna have to go on a cleansing flight.
the thing about this, guys, is if I had worms, I think I just killed them. And now I literally have this entire bag. I got to go put somewhere.
Just put it in a
hold
bucket.
it here all night. Just
Just go put it in a
okay.
bucket.
Now between the pickle juice and the Hive Alive, I feel like I'm early the turtle man. We're turning into live action all here to just
No cramps. No cramps coming.
No cramps.
You freed yourself from cramps.
Well, I can feel that coursing through me. Woo. There goes my keto, John. Yeah, I had cauliflower pizza for dinner. So does that count? Mark Bassinger asked, did it clean the cup? It actually took a layer of crud off the cup.
Nice. I
It's
love
all
it.
slamming. Oh no, guys, this is bad.
It's just all gone downhill.
This is ridiculous. It's all over my keyboard. It's all over the everything. That was a Greg. It's about making good choices with your life, and what I just did here, that was not a good choice.
Oh my.
Okay.
Well,
before I make this any worse tonight, guys, what else are we talking about before we jump off?
I have no idea.
I'm getting the hot flashes now. It's like meat sweats.
It's like you took some drugs.
Woo.
Oh man. What's coming up in the next week down at the Nature's Image?
This week, we made a bunch of splits on double screen boards, so I'm going to go in this week and make sure to look at whoever made queen cells. They need a queen. Makes it real easy. So we'll knock the queen cells down, add a queen, keep the feed on them, and let them fill out a nice fat single, maybe even a story and a half. I'll go ahead and put probably try to put supers on most of the colonies, whether they need it or not, so I can just pump the feed to them so they can go ahead and start backfilling that. What I wanted to say, or I guess we kind of mentioned that, is we use the oxalic acid throughout the year when it makes sense. And when we have a lot of brood and we're getting, for us, 2% threshold, we tend to get in there and do something about it, with exception to breeders and things that we're watching to see what they do on their own. But the Formic was just absolutely picture perfect timing when we put that on during a cool spell. And the only bees so we had loss with Formic. I'll quickly flirt with that. The only loss we had with Formic were colonies in which I operated outside of the instructions for Formic. Every single colony that I put 2 pads on and put a super on, and it was less than 85 the first 3 days, those colonies look absolutely amazing. Brooding up in a hurry, drawing comb, building up fast. They look great. What I didn't see with them in that first 3-day period, I did not see Armageddon inside of there. I did not see them just dragging out dead bees and pile. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see heavy bearding. The weather was just perfect, and adding that extra box on top, I think, is clutch for making that work. Mm-hmm. Where this went south, as Jake and I are going through these colonies that we've already pulled splits from, that we were pulling brood from, using them for bulk bees, they were somewhere in 6 to 7 frames of bees in a single. Those colonies, I didn't want to waste a box on top. I put 1 pad of Formic on. Those little colonies between 5 and 7 frames of bees with 1 pad of Formic, guess what they did? They absconded. They left. They were gone. They hit the bricks. Oh, wow. That was a risk I was willing to take, and I told Jake, well, we won't know what we can get by with until we try. So we tried to see, okay, how small can we go with Formic? Have learned what we can't get by with Apigard, and so now we've learned what we can't get by with on Formic. So I thought that would be a helpful piece of advice for folks. If you're thinking about using Formic and you're going to flirt with a single pad, first off, this is just me. If you're using Formic, don't beat around the bush. I don't even know that you should even think about fooling around with 1 pad of Formic necessarily, unless you have some very specific things going on with your colony. Otherwise, they need to be bigger, built out, strong enough to be able to take 2 pads. And when that is right and the temperature is right, and you throw a box on top, mm-hmm. they're beautiful. I'm going to go back in some of these and do some light washes and just have that real good point of reference to know here's where we started, here's where we are afterward. But I see the bees are actually doing this more with Formic than Apigard, but this I'm not sure what the word is, desire to build up fast this late in the year, I'm seeing that a lot more this year. I don't know if it's a seasonal thing or if it is a Formic thing, but what I can say is the timing was beautiful, because they are loaded full now of young nurse bees. They're still making brood, and they're drawing comb to kingdom come. So that's good. So what's going on here? It feels like miles and miles and miles of water line and compression fittings and hydrants and all of that stuff. Next week is going to be cool. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be with you guys next Wednesday. I'm traveling to Apis Engineering for an artificial insemination field trip. So nice. That's going to be a fun. You'll see and hear a little bit more about that. So, I mean, I'm starting to crash now. All the pickle juice, all the Hive Alive. I started to ramp up there, and now I just feel like I'm burning out. Now I can feel my blood sugar said, "What did you just do?" It's freaking out. I'm getting these hot sweats and hot flashes, and I can feel it like my spine's tingly, and I can feel that gross overload where you ate way too many donuts. That's what I'm feeling right now.
Amber says, "Sugar stuttering begins. Somebody get a glucometer."
That's yeah, and I'm hypoglycemic, so my blood sugar tends to run low anyway. So you just give that much. Oof. Now I'm feeling it now. Oof. Ooh.
All right.
Guys, what are you up to?
Quick question, Greg, before you go out on us here. Mm-hmm. I'm so intrigued by the artificial insemination thing. You say you're going to be introducing queens. Are these queens that you've already inseminated? And when do you do that after they emerge? Is it like, how many days do you wait before you actually
6
do
to
the
10
insemination?
days from emergence is the window for inseminating. So
Okay.
that's what we're going to be. That's where our focus is going to be right now. Is
Do
that
you,
we
do you
go ahead?
inseminate them and put them right in the colonies, or is there a process you inseminate them and let them give them a
Yeah,
little time?
there's this is where you get into a completely different. This is a really long conversation. I'll say
Yeah, we
this:
don't
we don't have time for it.
Yeah.
It's queen rearing in and of itself. Just making queens. Queen rearing is a completely different full art form than beekeeping, and artificial insemination, it could not be any more different from all the rest of those. But some of the basic fundamentals is queen introduction and queen management, even down to the virgins, how you hold them. What seems to work the best is when you have virgins inside of little mating nukes already ready for this process, that you can then go to the mating nuke, pull the virgin, bring the virgin in, inseminate her, knock her out, wake her back up, and then introduce her back to her own colony and let her get going there. That seems to work the best. A lot of extra steps,
Yeah.
but that seems to work.
Well, you're basically just replacing the process of her flying out. You're just putting her in there after you did it instead of the actual natural. So that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, down here in Alabama, we've got. I'm just going to go out this weekend, probably Friday, Saturday, and put those new splits into single deeps. I go ahead and keep feeding them. They were near starvation at that one location when I went through. If you watch the video, I guess I realized that while I was going through, I went ahead and fed them as I pulled the splits the following week. But when I watched that video, while I was putting that video together, I realized, man, those bees are in a dangerous spot. That's probably one reason they were breeding down so much and they were looking a little weak, is because I didn't realize going through them. I was actually trying to do a video and wasn't paying close attention to their actual status. And some of them were really in a rough spot from feeding. And so they are getting feed like a gallon a week now until they get to where they need to be. In these new splits, I'm about to put them in bigger boxes. I'm going to keep feeding them until they get enough food and get ready, built up enough for winter. And so I may try to do a video and I don't know, may try to do a video of kind of what I've done and just kind of explain what I'm doing now. I didn't go through the whole process, just couldn't do it. Just didn't have the time or the ability to do a video on the whole process. Very similar to what I did in the spring with the queen introduction, except a little bit different, but I can explain all that if I decide to do that. But anyway, so that's my main thing that's coming up is doing that. I just may go around and do some spot checking in my other bee yards. They have been looking pretty darn strong everywhere else. And for some reason, that one spot had consumed most of their food. In other areas, the hives look strong and heavy. So I'm not sure what happened there. That was my strongest bee yard all year. I don't know if because they had such a high mite load there, if that may have had an effect on them. Maybe they brooded back and they just weren't as motivated to go get food. But we do have, the cotton has been blooming, and I think that we're about to have somewhat of a fall flow. Hopefully, we'll see. But I'm feeding those bees. I'm just going to make sure they build up. And I actually mixed up, my typical 1-to-1 sugar water is a little bit thicker than that. Probably, it's not super scientific the way I do it. And I put Hive Alive supplement in there, and I found that does absolutely help preserve the syrup. And here in the heat, when it's been real hot, it just doesn't last very long. It's just straight up sugar water. And so, but I've used that, and so we're going to see how they do. I got these brand new queens. They're looking good so far. They had just started laying when I checked on them this past weekend, and I think I had I only have one or two that I think didn't take out of the whole bunch, and which is a pretty good percentage. So we'll see how they do. They get released. That's the first step. Then you see how they do moving forward. And with me feeding them and getting on top of it as I did the splits in the late summer, hopefully the splits will do better than the ones last year where I split them out without feeding them for a couple of weeks, and they got, I think, a little bit behind. We have a conference coming up, we have an Alabama conference. The fall conference is happening next weekend, the 20th and 21st. And I've decided I'm going to go up to that just to go as an attendee. I'm not going to be participating in that except for I just paid my things. I'm going to go up there and just go to the classes and just attend as everybody else, and that should be an interesting and a good thing. I've never been to an Alabama Bee Conference. I've been to Wisconsin, I've been to Sevierville, and I've been to Louisville, but I've never been to one in Alabama. So
Nice.
I should support my local folks, and so I'm going up there for that. And that's kind of what's coming up in my world. Just doing what everybody else is doing, checking on the colonies. Hopefully they're keeping the mite load down. Keeping food on them, making sure they got weight, and then just trying to get them. I think I'm pretty much done with any type of splits. Queen, I think we're pretty much going to just take what we have and move on into winter and see what happens.
Nice. Well, here, I probably am going to get over and check on the bees. Oh, I'm going to try tomorrow. If I can't get over there tomorrow, I'm going to get over there Friday and just see how they're doing. I know as far as weight wise where they were all at. Sunday when I was over there, the activity, like the flight path on those things, it was like a super highway coming out of there. So I know they were going out on something just because the activity was, it almost looked like standing off to the side and where you're looking at the row, it almost looked like earlier in the springtime where they're just going gangbusters. So I'll check on them just to see how their weight is, but not that much now. I mean, I'll monitor them probably for a week or so, see what they do, and then if I do need to combine out those two, I'll combine out. But I mean, we're going to be wrapping things up here pretty soon. So thank you, Bruce. But it's getting to the tail end, closing in on it. So, but that's that. And everybody, I should have a video probably edited within a day or so. I know I was almost in like a funk, but it's not like a funk. It's a busy time of the year. So with everything that was going on in the family and, the daughter's wedding and everything like that, I've been so literally darn busy just getting things done that to take out hours in a day to edit video versus, moving things and doing all that. It's just couldn't do it. So, but I'll have some stuff coming up here shortly. So supposed to what? I don't get what Mark said there. Supposed to
maybe
you're a bit on.
I think you meant to say rain. Supposed to maybe rain.
Oh, okay. See, I looked. Oh, rain. Okay. I looked here, and our next precipitation that it said was like the 23rd. So but then I was out, and Tara, the wife, has told me, can you cut that ugly looking weed out by our little wood pile that we have? There's this small little teeny cluster of goldenrod. And let me see. Mike, you take care, buddy. Let me see. Sunny, partly cloudy, partly cloudy.
This is for our neck of the woods, and looks like we don't get. This is horrible, guys. Look at this.
Yeah.
No rain until
22nd.
Maybe the week of the 22nd. So we're at least 2 weeks away. And look, they're not calling for any. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, that's the same here. So,
but what I want you to look at is look at the temperature.
Yeah.
This season is not over, and if you do not have a feeding plan in place, you may find yourself up a creek without a paddle. Look at how warm it is. If you've got drones out still, I mean, you still have open mating opportunity still. Look how beautifully warm it is still. I mean, even to the 1st of October, we're in the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, there is still a lot, guys. There is at least 3 to 4 weeks of serious beekeeping left, and if there's nothing out there for to eat, I'm just going to throw this warning out there. Pay attention, because you will start to lose colonies here in 2-3 weeks if they are not fed up and nutritionally squared away right now. If you are way behind right now, in 2 and 3 weeks from now, those are going to be the colonies that will have nothing inside. If those plants are producing but do not have rain, you will likely find that they will do nothing but produce pollen. But you'll find the queens will probably start shutting down again because there's no nectar. If there's no nectar and there's nothing but pollen, those bees will 100% crowd out the whatever brood nest there is with pollen. Now you've got no future bees, and you've got frame after frame after frame of pollen with no bees to protect it. Bruce's favorite hated thing in the world is what happens next. Hive beetles. Stay on top of this, guys. Make sure you're in there. Feed those bees. Stimulate those queens to lay. Stimulate those colonies to draw wax. Make sure they're putting that feed away. Anyways, I just saw that forecast there, and man, that's a little spooky.
Ours is the same. Same up here. No rain until the 23rd, it says up here.
Wow. Unbelievable.
It's crazy. So next week, Greg is going to be playing hooky.
Possibly. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Yep.
Well,
We're going to tentatively plan it here on the channel, but we'll let you know if there's any changes to that. How's that sound?
sounds good. Sounds good.
Boy, it's a big week coming up, guys. This is a big, big week for you and your bees. You got to make sure you're in there. Make sure they've got what they need. There's nothing you're going to do. I'll share this quick story. I was so beat up about how bad the bees were going one year, and it's late fall, and I'm sitting there, and I'm feeling so disgusted, so demoralized. I'm feeling like I'm not even should I even keep bees anymore? Everything's going wrong, and it's late in the season. I think, you know what? Maybe I'll just pack it up. Maybe I'll go back to having 3 or 4 colonies, and I'll stop it with all this thing. And that year, I absolutely hit what I felt like was rock bottom. I accepted the fact that it was going terribly, that I wasn't even sure how many bees I was going to have coming out of the wintertime. And I'm sitting there in my thinking chair, looking over my bee yard. And that thought is given to you as crystal clear as there's nothing you're going to do now to make up for what you didn't do then. And as soon as I heard that, it went straight through me. And I accepted that. You know what? And I said, you know what? You're right. There's nothing I'm going to do now to make up for what I did not do then. So get over yourself. Get over it. Learn from it and do better. It's that simple. Learn from it and do better. Because of that, the following year was a banner year. And every year since gets better and better and better and better. You got to hit that spot sometimes. If this is your year that you may hit that spot, accept it. Don't give up. Don't quit. But do better. How you can do better right now is make sure your bees are nutritionally squared away, that they have every opportunity to be successful. You don't want to be the beekeeper sitting in your thinking chair the 1st of November feeling like a failure when there's still a little time to do what's right. So get in there, take a look, get ahead of those bees. It's that time of year. Guys, the Hive Alive's wearing off in a hurry. That's all I got to say. Next week, whose channel?
Me.
Oh, Bruce's. Okay, Bruce's.
Bruce is pointing at me. I'm like, we're on my channel this week.
I was just trying to do a thumbs up is what I was trying to do. But
there we go.
it was like it's me, but it
Yeah.
pointed at you.
The next week, we are going to learn all about how to make bodacious body bars.
Well, someone else is going to have to come up with the recipe because I have no idea.
Bruce, I want to see a handlebar mustache on that replay. Just curled around. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, might take me longer than a week to grow a to grow a big handlebar mustache. But anyway,
Oh my!
Guys, this has been a great night. I'm left here holding the bag. Maybe time to call it quits. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, appreciate everybody watching. Tune in next week to Bruce's Bees. Topic to be determined. Don't know. So
It will probably have something to do with bees.
right. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about bees. So, and there will be no consumption of Hive Alive.
Yeah.
So, yes. Well, everybody, until next week, like I said, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.